The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and welcome to the Buckeye Business Builders Monthly Lunch and Learn. I'm Kent Eiler with Eiler Networking and Computing, and I'll be your host for this event. We'll have a recording of this event on our YouTube channel, which I'll put in the chat window shortly. So our mission at Buckeye Business Builders is to cultivate a dynamic and supportive business community in Northeast Ohio. We're committed to connecting local professionals, fostering valuable relationships, and providing opportunities for growth and success. Through networking, collaboration, and education, we aim to empower businesses and contribute to the economic vitality of our region. We meet the second and fourth Tuesday from 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at the Northern Ohio Business Center, or the NOBC, located at 5224 Cobblestone Road in Sheffield Village, Ohio. It's right across the parking lot from Sam's Club. We'd love to have you join us for our event. We can check up on other events and information as well on our website, which is bbbng.org. That's bbbng.org, which stands for Buckeye Business Builders Networking Group. So today our presenter is Cynthia Gore. She represents Stewart Tile, a global title company who provides commercial and residential title services. Stewart Tile has been in business for 130 years, and Cynthia has over 20 years of experience in real estate. She started her career as a banker that led her to residential lending as a mortgage officer. Cynthia found the desire and satisfaction of helping people purchase their home, which led her to become a realtor. Helping people find their perfect for them home brought a drive to do just that. Happiness was seeing her clients smile and glow and handing them the keys to their new home. She finds the same joy working in the title industry. Cynthia enjoys spending time with family and friends, their hobbies being skiing, hiking, and golf, to mention a few. Yoga is her way of life. So after her presentation, Cynthia will be able to answer any questions that you might have. Please enter them in the question section of the webinar. There's a little question mark at the top of your screen. And then I'll present those questions to Cynthia after her presentation. So without further ado, here's Cynthia Gore.
High noon, everybody. I'd like to share my screen and present to you fraud prevention. In the real estate industry. Can you see that okay?
Yep, it looks good.
Okay. Thank you for spending time with us on this webinar to learn a little bit more about how you can avoid fraud on purchasing your real estate property. Using a title company is very helpful. We have the tools in place verifying the sellers on non-owner occupied properties, as well as vacant land. Wire transfers are also most frequently reported with methods of fraud. And how that happens is through emails, usually someone waiting who's already tapped into an unsecured portal, or not a portal, but an unsecured email. Once they see an email come through with wire instructions, they can capture that, change the information to go into a fraudulent account. And that has happened. Unfortunately, two buyers during one of the most largest purchases of their life, and most importantly, their next home, their next place to live. To avoid these things, working with title companies, having money exchanged is very, very helpful. Working with we partner with Certified. Certified is a leading wire fraud prevention company and a solution that helps to identify secured information prior to exchanging the sensitive information, making sure that we're actually dealing with the right person. And how they do that with Certify is receiving an email and a text message to verify the person on the other side. And that's asking them personal questions that only they will know within their lifetime. Once the person is identified, there's just a few simple steps. The security exchange, security, or you can securely exchange the banking information to transfer the funds safely. And these are last minute things. Going through that transaction until the money is actually transferred keep top of mind all email communication, making sure that the tricksters have gotten really, really, really good at making it look like it's the real deal, and it's not. You can hover over emails to try to find it that way. Just being aware alone helps stop the fraud and stop the tricksters. We also have closing protection coverage versus verified. So, what this means is all title companies are required by state to offer closing protection coverage. It's a requirement to notify all parties to the transaction and the availability of this insurance. Closing protection coverage is not a fraud protection. It is only within the transfer of the funds from the licensed agent. So closing protection indemnifies you against the loss of the settlement funds resulting in misappropriation, fraud, or any other failure to properly disperse your settlement or closing escrow funds. Failure to comply with any applicable written closing instructions. So the agreed licensed agent working on your file and your money to close on your loan, it's covering that they are doing their job. Certified confirms identities of everyone involved. They're certifying the buyer, they're certifying the seller, making sure that that person is in fact who they say they are. We have become an electronic world. We are e-signing. We are doing RONs, which is remote online notarizations. Very few times are we face to face with our customers, buyers, or sellers. With that, it increases probability of fraud, but with these tools, it helps us nail it down, protecting our reputations and our customers. So Certified works by receiving an email or a text from Certified to the person who's being verified. Once that person validates their identity with just a few steps, you can securely exchange the bank information for the transfer, for a safe transfer. Protecting clients from vacant land fraud. Vacant land fraud it happens more than it's ever even talked about. It should be discussed more. Owners do not know that it happens until they're going to build a home or build a structure on the property or transfer the property to another owner selling it or to another family member. Fraudsters are pretending to own the property and attempting to fraudulently sell the land. Yes, it does happen. And again, it's not only land, it's the property that are non-owner occupants or even second homeowners where they have a vacation home or an Airbnb. Those are the targets. Often the fraudsters contact a real estate agent hoping to sell the property without ever meeting the agent. They encourage all cash deals. They'll insist on signing documents online, forging the notarizations, and avoiding title and escrow companies to avoid being caught, because title companies, most of us, Stewart does, we use Certified. We want to make sure that we are in fact working with a real person that is the real owner. And it altogether it cuts the buyer's costs and hassle. So protecting clients again from this is independently searching for the seller's identity and recent pictures of actual property owner. With our social media today, that is a lot easier than probably 10, 15 years ago. Requesting a property profile or deed from the title company, so a tax and legal. It also helps confirm the owner's actual identity and compare the true owner's signature with the seller's identity. Request an in-person, face-to-face virtual meeting, which is very easy to do today. Identifying the seller, and if the seller is legitimate, they should have no problem cooperating with you. If there's pushback, that's a red flag. Download the Forewarn app, which verifies caller identities and provides current property ownership, financial risks, criminal history, and other crucial information about the person. And any pushback on that is, again, another red flag. Usually asking any of these questions or bringing any of them up, if it's an attempt, they're going to they're not going to move forward. Introducing the seller verification tool. So prevent fraud before you list. And list is listing the property. So Stewart Tile is in partnership with Notary Cam. It's committed to stopping sellers impersonation fraud. Our new seller verifying tool enables real estate agents to confirm the seller's identity before even listing it, and saving time and money and hassle. Seller Verify helps you stop seller impersonation fraud before it even happens by confirming the identity up front. The process is quick and easy, combining ID verification with knowledgeable-based authentication to ensure legitimacy. And as you see, there's a cost, plus at only $20 per session, it's an affordable way to gain peace of mind to protect your transactions and your clients. So what if the seller fails to answer the questions or fails the questions? Notary Cam will update the biometric two-factor ID verification at no extra cost to complete the same session, in the same session. So if they stop the session and redo a session, and of course it's another $20. And how it works is creating an account at stewart.com /seller verify. Schedule a verification session for your seller. Receive a detailed report after completion. We have a lot of investors that are out of state, in Ohio alone. Having this tool will help dissolve any future hassles within the transaction. You know your seller is legitimate. And it's a convenience for them to not have to do the actual traveling and in-person sale. And don't be a victim. Seller impersonation fraudsters are brazenly impersonating property owners to illegally sell residential properties they don't even own, and they're getting money for it. Again, those owners aren't finding these out until they choose to sell or have a transfer or build on the property, make changes on the property. These scams are often targeted for the vacant, unoccupied properties, as I had mentioned, allowing the fraud to be undetected for months and even several years. Suspicious about an offer. So this happens, any red flags that if you are owning a property and you would say, wow, I wouldn't sell it for that. The property's worth so much more. You have a vacant land that in the average market's 30,000 and they're selling it for 5,000. That's a red flag. The property in question appears to be a vacant lot or occupied by someone other than the rightful owner, potentially serving an investment, vacation, or rental property. The property is listed for sale at a price well below market, suggesting the seller may be motivated to offload quickly, often within 3 weeks or less for a transfer, and unwilling to negotiate any fees. Fees being closing fees, wire fees, The seller prefers a remote communication, again, nothing face to face, and not willing to interact with a certified program or a verification of a person, an actual person verifying tool. Even on a camera, face to face, Zoom or something of that nature, that's a huge red flag. Receive free property alert notifications from your county recorder's office. So the county recorder's office often provide free property alert notifications to inform homeowners when any document is being filed pertaining to their property. This does help awareness. However, once it's transferred, again, the fraud already happened. Contact your real estate professional about title insurance, or you could even call your title company or an attorney. Home buyers should talk to a title professional or a real estate attorney about availability for title insurance coverage. The Alta Owners Policy and Alta Homeowners Policy both provide protection against pre-purchased forgery. However, only the Alta Homeowners Policy safeguards against post-purchase forgery, protecting the homeowner from third-party property transfer fraud. If you suspect deed fraud, immediately call local and state law enforcement, including the State Bureau of Investigation and the State Attorney General. Also reach out to your title professionals, real estate attorney, and any title insurance policy underwriter to see what your next steps are. And that is my full presentation for today. Are there any questions?
Hi, Cynthia. That was great information, and we do have a couple questions for you. And so, can fraud happen when using a realtor?
It can happen if the realtor is not doing the due diligence of okay, so if you're using a realtor on the buyer side and there's not the seller's not using an agent, yes, it can, but that is when that agent, the buyer's agent, that's a red flag. So they would do their due diligence in identifying the seller.
All right. And one other question, can I attain a title policy after I've already purchased a property?
You can. However, if you did not have the Alta homeowners policy, that is not, and it goes through this transfer of or going through the new search for the new policy, that is that won't be, so if it's done prior to the purchase and you're just now finding out about it, that is not going to protect you. It will only protect you on the future from the purchase of the homeowners policy. So the Alta homeowners policy.
All right. And the final question, obviously, purchasing a home is probably the biggest investment most people make. And so, have you experienced a situation of fraud through your 20 years of experience? And if so, can you just give us some of the details and how hard it was to try to rectify that situation?
I worked with investors. They were they stated they were out of California and they were purchasing property. And again, I showed them, a couple virtual. Back then we had we still had virtual. I think it was FaceTime I was using. I was seeing the person, but I didn't identify them. I showed them 2 properties virtually and had a conversation with my title rep, and they asked if I identified them, if I actually certified their identification. I said no. They said, well, you may want to do that. So they helped me, showed me how to do that, and lo and behold, it saved me from showing them a lot of properties that may not have transferred anyway, thank God, and kept me my reputation safe as well.
All right. Well, obviously a scary situation anytime fraud's involved, but when we're talking about the magnitudes of property and real estate, that can be very serious. So appreciate the education that you had, and that there are safeguards in place as long as you've got an expert like yourself to help guide us. So thank you, Cynthia, for the information. So
You're
every
welcome,
month,
Ken. Thank you.
and so every month we have a webinar. It's on the first Thursday at noon. So next month's webinar is going to be based on Lending Basic Guidelines by Scott Padaky of Citizens Bank. You can register for this event on our website at bbbng.org. And thank you for joining. Have a great rest of your day.
You also.